So thank you for being here today for this presentation. It's going to be for information for the video campaign for the Leave No One Behind and the Playas de Tijuana Mural project. Both of them are working together in a sense of sharing stories and creating advocacy beyond the arts, but actually pushing forward different policies to help bring back our deported and returned community that is in Mexico and other countries in Latin America, for example, and to bring them back home or have a pathway to return to the US that would allow them to come back and forth as they wish. And it also focuses on those who are still in the US and are currently here under DACA or have lost their status and or are undocumented to really provide a pathway for them to legalize their status. So we'll begin. So both of these projects are using storytelling and art to create advocacy and consciousness with the public about deportation, living in the US undocumented, and really ways to really support this community and having pathways to legalize their status. So as you can see here, the faces of the storytellers are the ones that are really pushing forward the projects and are really the center of this conversation. So really to have people not forget about the dreamers who have faced deportation before DACA was implemented, or to also consider those who, even if they had a permanent residency status, they still face deportation out of the US. So in this example, we have the deported veterans or just anyone who had a permanent resident status. So this project, basically the video documenting project campaign came through a story that I saw online just a day and a half ago. And this story really caught my attention in the way of how digital media and how creating small clips as campaigns online have really helped bring people out of prison and to really create more awareness about what it means to be incarcerated in the US. Although this project is focused on deportation, I think there's a lot of overlap in between both conversations, and then just having the opportunity to really advocate through digital media. So this following clip, I found it really inspiring, and I hope that we are able to create something similar or in this capacity to really create awareness in the general public, but also with the elected officials in the US that can really support the movement and really create some type of change that is urgently needed. So I'll play two of the small clips that I selected to kind of provide an idea of what my vision is for this video campaign. And with your help, this could only be possible. So I'll begin. So this is Alice Johnson, and this is her story.
In 1996, my life drastically changed forever. I was convicted as a first-time nonviolent drug offender and sentenced to life in federal prison. I'd always thought that only the most heinous crimes warranted a life without parole sentence. I have the exact same sentence as Charles Manson.
Okay, so this is the first part, and then this is a second clip.
To whom much is given, much is required. When you use your voice, people listen. When you champion a cause, our leadership listens. You may say, am I my brother's or sister's keeper? And I say to you to that, if not you, then who? If not now, then when?
So basically this campaign was made through Google and Google software. But what I really find it interesting and really valuable is that her story, like Alice's story, is the one that is being centered here. And it's really supporting, you know, getting people out of prison, right? Especially when they have the life sentence. So in the deportation and immigration context, I think this is really something that we could also apply. If you share your story and really find ways to link it or have people in a way feel connected to you, then that's a really great way for people to feel like, okay, I'm inspired, because at the end of the day, if people have never heard of deportation stories or are unfamiliar with this, you know, which it's true to a lot of people. They don't have an idea what immigration is like. So seeing these stories beyond, right, just the normalized way the media talks about it, but more on the personal side, then that could help create more awareness and for people to feel connected and to feel like they need to do something. So through the video campaign, my idea is to create something similar where even through the pandemic, we can all work together. You could use, for example, your cell phone and record yourself. We are creating a script that is gonna really push forward the messaging that we are trying to advocate for here. You could also use different tools like Zoom, but honestly, just like your phone works really well to create these videos with us. So what I am asking for anyone who is interested in being a part of this is to record a video of yourself reading the script that is both in English and Spanish. And in this script, for example, we're gonna ask you to say your name, how long you lived in the US for, your story, all within a short amount of times, just because at the end of the day, if you wanna share a video, for example, on Instagram or Twitter, even on Facebook, the amount of time people or the viewers take on videos is so small. So people don't really want to hear long stories and they want to really just have you hit the points. So unfortunately, that's what we have to do, right? So we have to focus on what's the main message here. And the main message is that the deportation that a lot of the people who have faced, you know, this unjust punishment are currently facing something that is preventing them from returning home. And that is also causing a lot of different effects, right? So having difficulties in assimilating back to the country of birth, being away from family, or not even being able to return to the US when there is a family situation. So what I'm asking is for people to submit video recordings to WhatsApp, and I have my number here, or via email, and with the title video campaign, so I know this is for this project. WhatsApp is the best way, I feel, because I'm able to download the videos directly. And then, so I have the instructions in Spanish as well for anyone who is interested, and I'll make this PowerPoint available online as well. Let me admit, oops. Okay. So all of the videos that are going to be submitted are going to be created as a whole. So I'm going to be compiling all of the stories and the videos, and I'm going to be organizing these based on themes, right? So we have, for example, childhood arrivals who have faced deportation before DACA. We also have dreamers who are in the US. Close friends of mine are losing their status and who had DACA in the US and don't know what's going to happen next, right? So even in the US, you still feel like you're on hold in your life and you have to rethink a lot of different ways to cope with living undocumented in the US. And then we also have the deported veterans, deported mothers, deported permanent residents who are in Mexico, for example, and are also trying to come back home. So there's different themes that we have been seeing throughout the storytelling projects like the Leave No One Behind and Playas de Tijuana. And I think it's a really nice way to connect all of these because as the Leave No One Behind motto says, is that we're not gonna leave anyone behind. So that's basically the idea here. And these videos are going to be targeted specifically to elected officials and the general public, and specifically people who have no idea what immigration is like, what deportation or its effects are, or who is even vulnerable to deportation. So a couple of days ago, I was reading one of the pieces that was created for the deported veterans. And the comments were all like, wow, I can't believe the US is supporting its veterans. And to me, it's like, wow, people are still learning about this, even when in our head or even in our own like personal atmosphere, we feel like, yes, like we know this already. Can we move forward to the next step? But at the end of the day, what is happening is that more people are learning. And I think that's really important. So I think through the video campaign, more people are going to become more aware and really push forward for their elected officials to do something about this issue before we spend another, 4 years or even more to really push forward an agenda that should have passed a long time ago. Okay, so again, in Spanish, and I'll make this PowerPoint available for people who might need to read it in Spanish as well. So this is one of the other videos that really inspired me in the last couple of days to say, okay, let's do a video campaign with all of the storytellers who themselves are already creating their own advocacy and their Facebooks, on their Instagrams. But what if we all work together and create something that seems like a collective movement? So this is one of the videos that I found really interesting, and it's one of the ones that I'm using as a style that I want us to kind of replicate with all of the video submissions that hopefully we can get. So I'll play it so you can have an idea.
My name is Waris Alawalia, and I am an immigrant.
I'm Adriana Lima.
And I am an immigrant.
I'm Jasmine Sanders.
And I am an immigrant.
My name is Jahara Ali.
And I'm an immigrant.
I'm an immigrant.
मेरा नाम राधिका है और मैं एक अप्रवासी हूँ.
I'm Cuba Tornado Scott.
And I am an immigrant.
Mi nombre es Carmen Carrera.
Soy inmigrante.
Worship David Yang.
And I'm an immigrant.
I am an immigrant.
Привет, я Лео Топав.
Soy inmigrante.
I am Winnie Harlow, and I am
An immigrant.
We are.
Immigrant.
Cześć, nazywam się Ania Rubik.
And I'm an
Immigrant.
I'm Natasha Polly.
And I'm an immigrant.
Now I'm an immigrant.
My name is Joran Dunn.
And I'm an immigrant.
Je suis une immigrant.
Migrant.
I am an immigrant.
I am an immigrant.
Immigrant.
I'm Iman Hamam.
And we are immigrants.
Expatriate هستم.
Ich bin an immigrant.
We are immigrants.
I am an immigrant.
My name is Doutzen Cruz.
And I am an immigrant.
I am.
Een immigrant.
I'm Riley Montana. Ik ben immigrant.
I am an immigrant.
Ik soy
An immigrant.
I'm an immigrant.
I'm an immigrant.
Ik ben een immigrant.
I am Diane von Furstenberg, and I am an immigrant. America was very good to me.
So this is just one of the small clips that I'm considering. And for example, let's say we get around 20 submissions. And I think it would be a great idea.
My name is Waris.
Really compile these together and create something similar. So what I'm thinking is that when you're recording, right, so we could all look somewhat similar, is to have a white background, wear a black t-shirt, minimize background noise so the audio works really well, no filters, record in landscape mode. And by landscape mode, I mean like this, right? So not this way, but this way, because that's gonna help the picture better. And to really maintain eye contact with the viewer. So because all of those things really do matter in the quality of the video campaign that we could make. So those are like the biggest tips, and also like lighting, which I think is really important. So let's see. So again, in Spanish. Okay. So the things that I'm considering that might come out throughout the videos is one of the obvious ones that I really want us to consider is to support the New Way Forward Act, which is our Leave No One Behind campaign is really pushing for this one. To repatriate our patriots, I totally misspelled that. So bring back our veterans, and then family reunification and the legalization of child arrivals. So basically those who fall under DACA and those who the DACA program leaves out. So basically these themes are going to be super important in creating different campaigns within the same umbrella to bring back our community and those who are still here to become legalized in a really ethical manner as well, and inclusive as well. So I'm thinking of a deadline to be for August 31st. So that gives you around 2 and a little bit more weeks to work on creating your video for you to feel comfortable to share this online. We will be posting these on the Leave No One Behind Mural Project and the Playas de Tijuana Mural Project, but you can also post it anywhere you like. So if you have other friends, or if you manage other, for example, social media, or if you have connections with other people that can help support this, then that is highly welcomed. We're thinking of having this, all of the videos hosted on the Leave No One Behind website, which is more of an official website for the public to see. And then that way, anyone who wants to share them, they could just do so on social media, Twitter, Instagram, or even just email these links to an elected official or an office. So that's basically the idea behind this campaign, is to have the storytellers participate in creating a digital campaign where their voices, their stories, and their names are going to become the center to really create a dialogue and really pushing forward for them to return home. And then for also those who are still in the US and are fighting to legalize their status, to do so as well. So for some people, it might seem like different conversations, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing. It's people who came to the US as children, and these stories are showing us how divided everything is and how many possibilities a certain group has versus another one who doesn't have any, right? So once you're deported, it's like you're left behind and no one's really speaking about you unless you are yourself doing the advocacy work or you have really strong allies. But I think if we all mix it all together and we work together, it's like and something good can happen. So basically that's the idea here, is to create different video campaigns. I have a friend who's gonna be helping us with the music, the background music, because the music and the tone really matters. Everyone's working here for free and everyone's just donating their time to really push this forward. So if you do find it in your heart, and then if you feel passionate about this project, let other people know. They don't necessarily have to be in the Leave No One Behind or Playas de Tijuana Mural project as storytellers, but it could just be anyone who feels strongly and wants to really share their voice to create some type of support for our community and a difference. So basically that's it. I do want to open it up for questions if anyone does have any questions, suggestions, of course, and any other ideas of how to make this project something more inclusive for other people as well to participate. The videos will have closed captions, so in English and Spanish. I would love to have someone who does sign language to do that as well. But that also requires a lot of resources and getting people on board to do that. But I'm just thinking about accessibility to what we're doing, and then for also other people to actually be able to participate and really feel inspired to support us. So basically that's it. But if you have any other questions or ideas, like I mentioned, I'll open it up for that. And yeah, so thank you for being here, especially so like short notice. Everything happens like that quickly because it's needed. But if you have any questions or anything, just let me know as well. So I'll open it up for that.
Hi guys. Hi Liz. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I think it's a great idea. I'm on board. I just wanted to say that real quick so that everybody knows I'm on board. I think 2 weeks is good enough time for us to get a video in. We should maybe reach out to the veterans that have done the story or that want to say a phrase on the video, and maybe if we can get Robert involved, we can put out a post that we can meet up somewhere with maybe a group of veterans, and that way we can record all of them at one time saying the same phrase. That might be something we can do. Oh, or I mean, if everybody wants to do it in their own home, it's fine. It's just to make sure that we got at least the 20 people, right? So that it looks good. And ¿qué más? Also wondering what the phrase is gonna be. You know what I mean? Once, I mean, is it gonna be different phrase for veterans, different phrase for DACA, or should we all say the same thing that unites all of us, which would probably be better? Find one phrase that unites all of us that we all will say over and over. And that's it. I think it's a great idea, and I think that it is important that we do get it in now before the 31st, because the awareness and the advocacy is hot right now, especially off of the PDT. You know, to follow it up right now would be perfect with this and even more stuff. We just have to keep, like listen, we have to keep the pressure on. So this is the best way to do it. This is what draws the most attention. This artistic stuff, the visual stuff, the stuff where we tell you know, our side and try to connect with people is really I think what has been gaining a lot of attention for us. So and I think that's it for now. I just want to say I'm on board, and thank you, Liz. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Alex. And I love that you brought up like, what are we saying, right? Like, what is the script? So I started the script. I sent it to Jenny and Robert, who are, you know, the leads for the Leave No One Behind Mural project, but I could open it up for anyone. So if you want to add in comments, you know, because this is your voice, so I want to make sure you feel comfortable with what you might be reading and saying, right? And if maybe our vision is very like tunnel vision, but you have other ideas, then that's highly welcome. So basically the idea is for you to share your name. So for example, I am Lisbeth de la Cruz, right? And then you would say how old you are. If you're a veteran, you will say that as well, or DACA recipient or undocumented. So anything that you feel comfortable sharing to the public. And then below we have a space for you to share your story within like a 1 minute frame. And then below that, we have a script of the policies and executive orders that we want people to get behind. So those things are really important. So basically like 3 sections. So introduction, and then in the middle, your story, and then towards the end, what the whole project is. But I always welcome different ideas. And I know, Jenny, you have your hand up.
Okay, so vamos a decir todo eso in the video. All of us are going to say all that in the video.
Yes.
And is there going to be a compilation at the end of everybody saying one thing? Like we just saw, because I thought that was pretty impactful, pretty powerful. So that's what I was wondering. What are we all going to say that's going to, I mean, we don't have to come up with it now, pero algo que todos, the DACA people say, that the deported veterans say, that the mothers that want to go home say, that, you know, so, I mean, of course, saying all those things that you just said, saying all those things you just said, would be awesome, así para que todos sepan, dígame, un poquito de historia y todo eso de cada quien, pero al fin decir algo todo, like, my name's Alex Mural and I want to go home. I mean, and for the DACA people, and I want to stay home, or some así, algo así, al fin. Sea lo que sea, I don't know, but yeah, that's awesome.
I think it would be, I'm an American.
The one thing I have, so I was thinking about that. One thing is that if you say that, I mean, you could say, right, I'm an American, but like legally, it could have some implications. But I mean, you're not saying it to like a, ¿cómo se dice? Like immigration officer, right? So it just depends on the wording. But I mean, I'm open to ideas. If you have any, put them in the chat as well, and I'll save the chat and I'll make sure those notes get back. But I'll see like something like that, like how Alex said and Isaac, right? Like, I'm an American, I want to go home, or for DACA, it's like, I want to stay home, right?
Tengo una idea I want to float to people, and thank you, Liz, for putting this together, and thank you everyone on the meeting today. Pero I really, you know, like Alex was saying, something short and quick would be nice. And I like that you have the other script because it'll go into the archive. Pero me gusta la idea, and a ver qué piensan ustedes of my name is blank. I was deported this year, blank, and I've been left behind.
Okay, love that.
Because then it goes again with, you know, some of the themes that we've been using with the mural and in general.
Yeah, that's an awesome one. And I don't want to be left behind. I've been left behind, or I don't want to be left behind. Whichever one affects the viewer hardest would be.
Yeah.
See, and I feel that that applies to a lot of people, right? So I was left behind, even if you went back to, for example, your country of birth, because I mean, ya no podías en Estados Unidos, right? Like how the situation is like. But then if you're still in the US and you were left out of DACA, yes, you were left out, right? So not being included. So there's a lot of things that we can say. And I love how Alex brought up that idea. How are we going to group people, right? I kind of have an idea of who falls within each category. But if you feel strongly for one phrase, then of course that video is going to have your voice, right? So at the end of the day, like, what is going to unite everyone? Yeah. So in that gray tone video, decían las personas, I am an immigrant, right? So I don't know how this phrase works too, but it's kind of saying like, I'm an American immigrant or something like that, right? So something that at the end of the day unites you all without us falling into legal implications of saying I'm an American, or, you know, so it's kind of like whatever you feel comfortable with, and it's something that really resonates with people.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
So thank you everyone for joining in. This is being recorded, so you could go back and see the first short presentation that we just had. But this is for the video campaign that we are creating in conjunction with the Leave No One Behind and Playas de Tijuana mural projects to create advocacy through story sharing and video submissions that storytellers can submit to us. And in that sense, really allow us to have some material to work with and voices and stories to really create awareness about deportation, and also those who are in the US with the uncertainty, what's going to happen with DACA, or if you were left out, what's going to happen with the undocumented child arrivals in the US. So basically at the end of the day, and Alex brought up a good question. It's what's going to unite all of these groups together. And even right now, when I was just speaking, well, at the end of the day, everyone is a childhood arrival, right? So if you say I am a U.S. childhood arrival, that also works. There's some other phrases in the chat. I want to go home. I am American. And Jenny mentioned my name is blank. I was deported on blank and I was left behind. So there's many ideas. I will share the script with you all so you could add comments and suggestions to the wording so it can flow correctly and that it can make sense, right? Because at the end of the day, it's your voices and I want you to feel comfortable with the messaging that we're proposing. But this is like more of a Q&A conversation session. So if you have any other ideas, questions, like this is the time, I would say. Oh, I love this one.
I have a quick question.
Could we do this in a?
Oh, go ahead.
Could we do this in a group, like Handel said? Hello.
Yeah, I could hear you.
Yeah, Joseph, el Robert y yo podemos hacer un post para los veteranos. Whoever wants to go, like, we'll meet somewhere and we'll do the videos there if it makes you more comfortable, bro. Y así podemos agarrar several of them at the same time. That's a great idea.
Yeah, because that we could get an ideas too, what to say, or
Could be done at the mural there in Playas.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That'd be good. I mean, I'm in, if, So.
Yeah, that would be great. Como dijo Alex, right? Like if you can organize with all of the guys and just get it in one day, then that would be perfect. And then that way you make sure that the quality is good. The sound, especially the sound. That's one of my worries in filming it at the beach in Playas, just because of the waves, right? So maybe at the veterans office would be good, or somewhere more close doors to eliminate the background noise.
Robert, what about like Garimar or algo así en una parte? I don't know. Donde podemos, we have a little bit of room.
Yeah, Gary could be, but he's been pretty busy. They've been getting it rented out pretty much.
Okay.
Often.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay, so I'm reading your comments. Thank you, Jairo. And Chris came in. He's in class, but he'll watch the video. Robert, I like this one too. I am an American childhood arrival. Yeah. Oh yeah, and Jenny, great question. So, I feel like feeling inspired from the video would be great, but I think if we change the phrase, and that kind of clears up the like us not copying, right? Like their campaign video, for example. So maybe like just kind of having the same style, like just copying that small clip that everyone's going to say together, but changing the slogan that we're going to be saying. So that could kind of help, for us to not feel like, oh my God, if we're going to get called out or something. Okay, perfect. Any other comments, suggestions?
I have a suggestion. I think it might be good to get some feedback on, like, maybe just for me personally, like, I don't know if we could do a little bit of dialogue and then get some feedback on what you think or what others might think would be the best part to use. Like yeah, like a few, like we might have like 8 points to make as to why this campaign is important, but maybe like narrow it down, like, okay, these are a little more impactful, or like these 2 or 3 will be maybe the best to use, and just kind of shorten it and focus on that. Just for me, just yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yes, and I think that also helps me kind of like link it to what parts of your story you should share, right? Like what parts are the ones that, because your story is important, like toda la historia, right? But through social media, like ¿cómo se dice eso? El tiempo que uno mira el teléfono, right? Like super short, like over here just like liking things away, sharing things away. So it's like people only spend like 30 seconds to a minute at most, looking or even reading over a post. So yeah, definitely. I feel like if we, even if you submit your video, we can pick the sections that, you know, kind of match more with everyone else's voices as well. But it would be helpful to kind of just keep it narrowed down so that way you know what might be selected, and then we also can also work quicker in editing the videos. Mhm. Yeah, that was great. Thank you. Other questions, suggestions? So one of my biggest things is that maybe you all are more informed, or, you know, what executive orders are we supporting? I did mention the New Way Forward Act, but if there's any others that you feel like strongly that we should incorporate, then I think this would be a perfect time to push forward for those and so in support of specifically that agenda. So if there's anything that, you know, you feel like, okay, we need to also back this up, then this would be a great opportunity.
I think there's some affinities with essential workers. I know there's a Farm Worker Modernization Act, but that that legislation is not necessarily supported by everybody. But I think the idea of essential work kind of touches on the work that veterans do, that, you know, immigrants contribute. So I don't know if that can somehow be incorporated, but without maybe broadening. I don't know what you think, if there's any way to maybe incorporate some of that.
Yeah, and I feel like the language is also going to resonate with a lot of people, right? So I think that would be great, using like essential workers, and linking it to the veterans, for example. Because I know when I was just reading like recently, like some articles about the deported veterans, a lot of people were like, well, they served the country. Just kind of like bringing those points out, right? So just to say, even for like the DACA recipients, we always hear about their education and like their ambition to, you know, strive for a better life in the US. So there's certain things that people are already saying about each, I would say, like profile of people. So if we could like connect them together like essential workers, and I think that falls in like to really broaden it in a little bit more.
I had a question on once we get it, we should find out what the right distance is for us to take the video. Like when I noticed on the video we saw, there were all the equal distance, you know, so that none of the people or faces are way far away, and and also like you said, the audio, like
Yeah.
we want it all to look nice and clean, and also like be at the same equal distance. I mean, everybody, you know, whatever we decide, 3 feet away or 4 feet from the person, and have good audio so you can actually hear what the person is saying, and you can hear, I mean, the feeling as they're telling their story. That has a lot to do with it. Like we can't have like waves and noise and honking and stuff in the background, because it just takes away. And back to, yeah, the shorter the shorter the better, I think. The
Yeah.
shorter, more concise, that we can make our points and unify them together. The essential workers, if we're talking about essential like farm workers and stuff like that, or we're talking about nurses and caretakers. What do we mean with essential workers? Is that the farm workers, or that the caretakers in Medicare? I didn't get that. Pero some way to unify essential. If we have somebody that's deported and that's on the stories, or that we know that was a farm worker, or that was a caretaker in the medical field and was deported, then that would be some way to you know, I mean, unify us. Like they within their story, they could say, you know, I was an essential worker, I mean, back in the US, and now I'm in the childhood arrival, and now I'm deported. And then, you know, a veteran would say, well, I am a veteran, a US veteran, and I don't know, so somehow to connect everyone together, so we can kind of at the end meet with a good phrase at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and I feel like if we could, in a way, agree on that phrase, that would be better, right? Like to say, yes, everyone who's on this call and hopefully everyone else who watches it and wants to be a part of it gets behind this phrase, como dices, right? Like that's going to unite everyone. And there's so many options. I really like I am an American child arrival, but I do worry if people don't understand what that means, right? So I feel like maybe what Jenny had mentioned, and I feel Alex had the same, idea. Is my name is blank. I was deported on blank, and I was left behind. And that's basically that also resonates for undocumented youth who is left behind from DACA. Even if you have DACA, you're still left behind from a legalized status that it's permanent. So at the end of the day, you are left behind. And we see it with DACA here in the US. People are losing their status and nothing is happening to help them, right? So it just depends whatever you guys feel or like you all feel might be the best way to kind of like unite everyone's stories. Thank you, Jairo.
well, right now, I'm liking I was left behind, or I don't want to be left behind, or I mean, I'm a child of arrival, or I was deported on. My name is I was deported on, and I don't want to be left behind, or I was left behind, whichever one we decide on. I like that one. Because we can say I am a Alex Murillo. I'm a U.S. veteran. I served from this day to this day. I was deported this day, and I was left behind. Boom. And then I am such and such. I'm a child of arrival. I'm a DACA recipient, and I was deported on this day, and I was left behind. And then I'm such and such. I'm an essential worker. I worked in the medical field, taking care of people. I worked in the farm, picking things for people, picking fruits and food for everyone. And I was deported on such and such day, and I was left behind. You know what I mean? Like that or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and even like that essential aspect, I think it's really important to highlight like mothers and fathers, right? So beyond, right, like saying I'm a DACA recipient or I'm undocumented, a permanent resident, or a veteran, at the end of the day, I feel like just from thinking of the wide range of stories, everyone is either a daughter, like a son, a brother, or like a mother or a father, right? Like, so like Alex mentioned that in the Playas de Tijuana Mural project. So that's a really great way for people to say, wow, like that could have been someone in my family if our circumstances would have been different, right? So saying like, como comenzar con el like núcleo familiar, right? To say, wow, like even because I come from a military family. So same thing, what if my sister would have been born in Mexico, right? So things like that makes people question how the system is organized that is really pushing people out, right? So how do we navigate this? So I think if we also focus on that family thing of saying, well, I am a father, a brother, or a mother, for example, like in Monse's or Tanya's case, right? So like those are really important to highlight as well. Even for the veterans, like my children are in the US. So I'm thinking of Juan Quiroz, like having the family coming back and forth all the time. So like those things are important. Yeah, like focusing on the essential part that I am essential to my children's life. Yeah. So I mean, there's multiple video ideas here, but it would be great to have one of everyone together that could be we could also help distribute on social media. So due to time and stuff, like I'll send the PowerPoint for people who want to see it or share with other folks. Once this video goes on the Zoom cloud, and I could bring it down and download it and send it out to everyone on YouTube, and also the script. So if you want to add anything else, I'll try to incorporate these notes in there as well, so we could all be in the same page. But if anything comes up, right, you have other suggestions. Like I love Alex's suggestion of saying, all right, so maybe be 3 feet away from your phone, right? So if someone's gonna help you record 3 feet away, make sure that landscape mode is on, like this side here, and that you're looking straight at the image, right? So that you're in the square or in the center of this recording, minimize audio, background noise. Also, I'm highly suggesting black t-shirt if possible, and then white background. And yeah, I think that might be like the main points. But I do want to close with just rewatching that first video, because for me that's the video that really made the difference. And thinking, so what's next? You know, we have these murals going up in the US, we have this other one at the border. What's gonna happen next, right? Like, how are people really gonna feel like, oh my God, I need to do something? Like, what's gonna push them to say, this is more than art? So we'll watch this one and then I'll close it off, and we can all just, you know, hopefully get to work and get more people on board to participate. The more submissions we have, the better. And like I mentioned, they don't have to be storytellers in both projects. They could just be any other person who feels strongly to help and support us. Okay, so I'll play this.
In 1996, my life drastically changed forever. I was convicted as a first-time nonviolent drug offender and sentenced to life in federal prison. I'd always thought that only the most heinous crimes warranted a life without parole sentence. I have the exact same sentence as Charles Manson.
That's the first clip, and this is the second.
To whom much is given, much is required. When you use your voice, people listen. When you champion a cause, our leadership listens. You may say, am I my brother's or sister's keeper? And I say to you to that, if not you, then who? If not now, then when?
Okay, so basically that's it. And thank you everyone again for getting on this call super last minute too. I really appreciate the time and dedication, and I hope that we can all work together and really push forward for a much needed change that, you know, it's super delayed, but we never give up. So I think that's the biggest thing here, that we don't give up, and like things are looking good. So they have to be better for everyone, right? So hopefully working together and establishing connections and just caring for each other is going to help us, you know, really make a change, porque too much is happening. So it's needed. So thank you, everyone. No sé si alguien tenga like last minute comments or anything, but I'll make sure I share everything on that Facebook Messenger thread. So I'll be posting everything there, and I'll make a flyer available for the public. So anyone else who wants to share with anyone, like the friends or anyone else that you might know, then that would be great.
Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Robert, Jenny,
Thank you, Liz.
Jose.
Thank
All right, guys. Have a good
Thank you,
one.
Liz. Thank you, everybody. Good seeing you.
Bye, Joe. Bye.